Hi, this is Bai Macfarlane with Mary's Advocates working to uphold marriage. I just want to thank Patrick Coffin for interviewing Dr. Richard Fitzgibbons about his book on the habits of a healthy marriage. Dr. Fitzgibbons is all about trying to prevent divorce. And during the interview, Patrick Coffin came really close to knowing that there was something in canon law that was supposed to be implemented prior to separation, prior to divorce, annulment. He wasn't quite sure, and what he was looking for was really at least three different canon laws.
There's one canon, I might be butchering it now. I think it's 1654 if memory serves. Someone could look it up. It's a law of the church that requires bishops to meet with couples who are applying for a decree of nullity, so that before they separate, before they actually go their separate ways, the bishop is meant to sit down and talk to them. I don't know of any diocese where that is done routinely. It's still in the books, and I think it's a great idea.
Prior to anyone petitioning in the civil forum, the diocese authorities are obligated to try to get parties to reconcile. It's canon 1695. Whenever there's hope of success, they're supposed to use pastoral means to induce reconciliation. And this is even prior to divorce. And then canon 1692 is that no one who married in a Catholic rite is allowed to petition in the civil forum for divorce or civil separation or maintenance until after that person has permission from one's bishops. And the bishop is not supposed to be giving this permission if the outcome in a divorce situation is going to be contrary to divine law, or if there is no legitimate reason for the parties to be permanently separated in the first place. And then another canon that Patrick Coffin was probably thinking about is it's canon 1675 in Pope Francis's Motu Proprio. That canon is saying that the judge, even who receives an annulment petition, is not allowed to accept the case unless he first be informed that the marriage is irreparably failed. So imagine this. You've got one party who says, I think my marriage is invalid and I want to go marry someone else. And you have the other party saying, there's no reason for us even to be separated. I really want to reconcile. I have all the confidence that we could with the right kind of help. So there's a couple of other things that Patrick and Richard Fitzgibbons talked about during the interview that were really great. So I'm going to share a couple of those with you. Again, this is Bai Macfarlane with Mary's Advocates working to uphold marriage.
So many men who are husbands who are emotionally distant. Look, here's another reality. 70% of divorces are initiated by women. The major goal of this book is to prevent divorce. That's the number one goal of this book, prevent divorce. 70% of divorces initiated by women. Second fact, in marriages with low levels of conflict, not explosive anger, low levels of conflict. What does that mean? It means that the woman is often very lonely, or she was lonely in her background with her father, and her husband can't fill up the void from her childhood. Okay, so it's important to look at, to tell some of these people, like the men, I've told them, look, okay, repeat your father's good qualities. Ask Saint Joseph to help you to give more to your wife than you saw your father give to your mother. It works.
But I've heard this a fair amount in the last couple of years, Rick, and that is when a woman decides to end the marriage, she's surrounded by other Catholic women who affirm her in that decision. Because it's, I don't know, you're finding your happiness, you're following your bliss. I'm sure that the reverse is true, that some men may receive affirmation from their Catholic brothers in Christ, but I've noticed this trend of women leaving, Mr. Wrong and being just love bombed by their Catholic women friends. Is this have you noticed this, or is this just something?
Oh yes,
in my circle.
They're oftentimes totally supported by the mental health field. So one has to be extremely careful in who one sees in marital therapy. That most mental health professionals, they don't take the Catholic view of marriage. They take the psychological view of marriage. Oh, you're not happy. Oh, your husband is distant. Well, definitely you should get divorced. No, you shouldn't. You should talk to your husband about why he's emotionally distant, how he's acting like his father in that way. He doesn't have Asperger's disease. They label these men as Asperger's disease. He doesn't have Asperger's disease. He's a fellow, his love language is deeds. He's a good man. Like John Paul II would say, be loyal to the core goodness of your spouse, work on the weaknesses surrounding on the periphery of that goodness. You do that, most marriages can be healed. These Catholic women are making an enormous mistake, and they are wounding not only that couple, they are wounding the children of that couple.
But I would say if you compare the number of annulments that were issued in, say, the year 1971 or 1961 today, it's an utter tsunami.
Oh, it's a tsunami. This annulment process needs to be carefully reviewed. I've made a number of strong comments in my chapter on divorce prevention about that. Hopefully this will happen in the future. Mm-hmm. We need much more psychological science brought into the annulment process, and again, identifying the weakness in each spouse, not only one, each spouse, and a commitment to work on that before they go forward with annulment.
Mm-hmm.